There's nothing quite like October. Leaves start to change color, Halloween decorations including pumpkins and scarecrows are on full display. But for Phil and Rye, October has a different meaning. Moonshot home runs, chilly weather strikeouts, and don't forget the sunflower seeds. October baseball. Today, we break down the National and American League Championship Series presented by Camping World and Geico. The Seattle Storm are world champions. Phillip and Ryan discuss the legendary career of Sue Bird and the future of Breanna Stewart in the WNBA. Saving the best for last? Jimmy Butler's clutch performance in Game 5 Friday night forces a Game 6. Just when you thought these NBA finals were over, think again. Brought to you from the Old Line State, it's Listen Up.
Chapman, no regular lefty. 3-2, Brasso sends one into left field. Gardner going back, and it is up and gone! Mike Brasso has homered, and the Rays have a 2-1 lead. What a moment for Brasso. Tampa Bay on top on the 10th pitch of the at-bat.
And welcome back alongside Ryan Renner, Phil Becerra, and it's been a hot second, hasn't it, Ryan?
Yeah, it has, and a lot's happened since the last episode.
You're not lying. A lot has happened. I'll tell you what, I talked to you last week and said we were busy with the interviews, and of course we had the episode. It was 1 week ago, last Friday. We talked about Game 1 of the NBA Finals.
Right.
And we talked about how busy we were. But how about this past week? I mean, it's starting to get hot in the sports world.
Yeah, in the sports world, a lot has happened.
So I tell you what, were you up for the game last night?
Yeah, I managed to stay up.
It was actually, what was it, Friday night?
Yeah, Friday night.
Friday night, and you had Aroldis Chapman enter the game in the 8th inning. And I said, boy, here we go. Or actually come in, his 7th?
It was either the 7th or 8th, but I believe it probably was the 7th.
And he came out and said, oh, boy, here we go. Rays are in trouble. But again, it happened again. And I can't believe Aroldis Chapman, so good for so long, but it seems like now that he's starting to fall out under pressure.
Yeah, Chapman's known for that really fastball that he can throw. I mean, upwards of 100 miles an hour, 101, sometimes even 102 miles an hour. So he can really throw the ball, and he has also that off-speed pitch. It really gets hitters guessing and not really know what he's gonna throw. But the Rays, Mike Brasso,
that was a hero last night.
Yeah, the hero for the Rays, able to hit that go-ahead home run in the bottom of the 8th against Aroldis Chapman and win the series for the Rays.
Well, he went to college in Oakland, and I'll tell you, a lot of these guys, Ron, I'm not even going to lie to you, I'm not even familiar with half of them now that the Orioles were in full rebuild mode, so I haven't been catching up with baseball for a while, but I had to watch last night. You know, shortened season, I know a lot of things are abnormal, but last night was anything but abnormal. I mean, anytime the Yankees lose, that's a headliner.
Yeah, it was an absolute pitching duel. I mean, between the Yankees started their ace, Garrett Cole, who they paid $324 million for in the all season for 9 years. I know that was a big headline for a long time. And the Rays started Tyler Glasnow with only 2 days of rest. He pitched in Game 3, and Cole only allowed 1 run, and the Yankees' run was given up by their pitcher Nick Anderson off of a Aaron Judge home run. But it was an absolute pitching duel and a really good game.
Well, that takes us to the previews of the American League and the National League Championship Series for this Major League Baseball playoffs 2020. Ryan, I talked to you last night, and you're right. I can actually see both of these series going 7 games easily. I mean, a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. First of all, we're going to start out with the American League, the Tampa Bay Rays and the Houston Astros. Ryan, for so long, it's been the Astros in the championship series. With the Rays never having this experience, they made it this far one time, I believe it was in 2008. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, 2008.
08, okay. And I promise you, I didn't cheat there. I didn't really. So 08, and they lost, I believe, to the Phillies in the World Series? Because I know Tampa Bay has never won the World Series, but hey, I know this is our division rival, but if they can do it, hats off to them.
Yeah, hats off to them for sure. I know they have a really young team, and you look at their roster and you might not expect them to have the best team, although they were the number 1 seed in the American League this season. But I think what really does it for them is their pitching. They have really good pitchers, really good starting pitchers, and in their bullpen, and they're hitting. The guys are really able to step it up in clutch situations like we saw on Friday night, and the Rays have just been able to get it done with their young team.
Yeah, again, especially with guys like Tyler Glass now. You have Aaron Loop, Charlie Morton, Trevor Richards. I mean, the list goes on. Blake Snell.
Yeah.
Blake Snell. So, Diego Castillo, he stayed out. I believe he pitched for a while last night.
And I believe he closed out the game, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so, yeah. Well, it ended with a snag at third base and line drive out, and that did it. But, of course, and then you have in the outfield, you have Kevin Kiermaier. Of course, Evan Longoria no longer there. Kevin Kiermaier, the longest tenured Ray on that roster. Austin Meadows, Brett Phillips, Ryan, a lot of young players, if you will, but still they keep finding ways to get the job done. And if you ask me, that was just barely inches away from what I would call it. It feels like you won the World Series last night, beating the Yankees. Because if you remember, we came on this show, what was it, July, August, and we had the premiere, and we talked about how great the Yankees are and the lineup 1 through 9. I talked about that with you for a while. We sat down on that 1 hour premiere. But now here we are, October the 10th, 11th, and they're gone. The Yankees are sent home in this shortened pandemic season.
Yeah, and we talked about how the Yankees 1 through 9 have all those power hitters 1 through 9. I mean, they're just able to absolutely crush the ball. But the like I said earlier, the Rays have such good pitching, and they were able to kind of stop that from the Yankees and not allow them to really hit them around. And I don't know, the Rays just find a way to win, and it has to be really exciting for their franchise. Like we mentioned, only being in 1 World Series, it has to be really exciting for their franchise and fans to be able to see them really succeed again.
Yeah, well, again, at 5'10", 205 pounds, he's born in 94, so he's only 26. But again, the hero for the Tampa Bay Rays. Mike Brasso, the go-ahead home run against Aroldis Chapman, and they go on to win it. Game 5, 2-1. They advance to play the Houston Astros in the American League Championship Series. Again, if you're just joining us, Phil Vasseur, Ryan Renner, listen up. Right in the city, right in the heart of the city, Frederick, Maryland, and thank you again for joining us, episode 14 already, Ryan. That moves us on to the Houston Astros, Ryan. They've been so good for so long. They've had the cheating scandal going on. But now, Ryan, even if you want to bang on them trash cans, there's no fans in the stadium. So can they really, I mean, so far so good. They looked good even now that they're not banging on any trash cans. No scandals as far as I know of. So can they actually prove themselves for once without, I don't want to say the C word, but cheating?
Yeah, I think that was the main focus for the most or all of the Astros players this season. Their main focus was to really try to prove themselves again and prove that they didn't need to cheat, because in my opinion, they didn't need to cheat that year. They had such a good team, and it still shocks me that they cheated. I just don't understand it. I still can't wrap my head around why they did, because like I said, they had such a good team that year and they went on to win the World Series, but I just don't think they needed to do that. I think they had a good enough team to win, but that's all in the past. And the Astros were able to defeat the Athletics 3-1 to advance and play the Rays. But the Astros right now are absolutely crushing the ball. The Astros hit 3 home runs in Game 1, 3 home runs again in Game 2, and 4 home runs in the 4th game to advance to the ALCS. So it seems like they have a lot of momentum, and they're really starting to hit the ball well.
Yeah, so again, Alex Bregman, I was just looking over the article when you was telling us about that. Alex Bregman, he did apologize for the stealing scandal, rather, during a press conference. But, yeah, it's, again, I agree with you that I couldn't believe out of all teams, maybe I could see, cheating for one thing is not in my book anyhow. You never, obviously, that's wrong.
Right. Plain
And simple, but I could see a team that maybe finished in the basement, something rather in that nature. But, I mean, a top team, and I'm glad you brought that up, a team that has, Zach Greinke, and they're starting with their pitcher, Zach Greinke. They have Christian Javier. You have Lance McCullers Jr. You still have, of course, who's the pitcher I'm thinking about that was from Detroit?
Justin Verlander.
So that they questioned, okay, with him going off of next season with the surgery.
Tommy John surgery.
Okay, with Tommy John surgery that he went through, will that end the Astros' tenure or their not their legacy? What's the word I'm trying? Their series of winning.
Yeah,
I can't think of the word now that I'm trying to use, but will that end? Will they stop winning? Will they be a team that ends up in the basement again? I don't think one. I mean, yeah, Justin Verlander is good, Ryan, but I don't think that's going to end their legacy and of what they have going on in Houston.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Obviously, Justin Verlander was their ace, and he was the main guy that year that they did win the World Series, and Verlander always came up big and was able to really pitch the ball very well, and they depended on him that year.
Dynasty. Sorry, that's the word I'm talking. Dynasty. So I don't see, just because of losing Verlander next year. Yes, he's not, if not one of the best, if not the best in baseball. But losing Verlander, Ryan, I just don't see the dynasty just all of a sudden falling out.
Yeah, and the Astros have so many good players on the offensive side of the ball in their batting order. Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, Bregman. I mean, they just have so many guys that can really hit the ball, and I just can't see one pitcher going down can end them.
Yeah, and of course you acquire Michael Brantley.
Right.
He was with the Cleveland Indians there for a while. Josh Reddick, George Springer, Kyle Tucker in the outfield. So Ryan, I mean, like you said, stacked in as well as pitching and offensively. And if you ask me, kind of similar to the Tampa Bay Rays, stacked both pitching, offensively. I think in this series, though, Houston has the edge offensively because of their experience. They've been in these kind of situations before, and I'll get my prediction here in a minute, but I just think that they have an overall better advantage on that offensive side of the roster.
Yeah, I think the Astros have a better hitting lineup, but I do think the Rays have a little bit better pitching. But it's going to be interesting because the Rays, winning on Friday night, they only have 1 day of rest before they have to play again. So the Astros obviously have more rest for their pitchers. The Rays pitchers obviously not getting that much rest. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays into this series.
Yes, it is. And again, you have Lance McCullers. Has he been starting, or has he been coming out of the bullpen? McCullers Jr.?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, sure. Of course, he has Zach Greinke. They used to play for the Dodgers. Ryan, this series could go either way. I'll go ahead and tell you, though, I have Tampa Bay. If people listening to this now want to hear our full prediction, which we should give them our full prediction since we won't be back on until next week sometime. I have them in 7. I'll go ahead and say it. I think they'll go the distance in this series. I have the Rays winning in 7.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do believe this series will go 7 games, and I also do have the Rays winning, despite them not having that much rest time for their pitchers. I do believe the Rays will find a way to win this series.
I mean, look at it again. I'd go back to the Yankees again. The lineup 1 through 9. Ryan, they held in that Game 5, winner take all, season on the line. Ryan, Tampa Bay held I mean, you have Aaron Judge, Brett Gardner. You have
Giancarlo Stanton.
Carlos Stanton. You have who catches? Gary Sanchez. Of course, I think he was out last night.
Yeah, there was another catcher that started that really went.
And then who is it? Gio Urshela, I think his name is.
Yeah.
I mean, once through not Luke Voigt started at first base.
Nope.
I mean, big-bodied guys. I mean, big weight mass. And look, you hold them to one run, you're doing something special.
Yeah, you're doing something right.
Something right. And this is why I think the Astros will win 3 games, but not 4.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I totally agree.
Moving on to the National League Championship Series. The Los Angeles Dodgers and the Atlanta Braves. Ryan, I think we both predicted the Dodgers in this one as well, but I told you before we came on, it would be lovely. It would be lovely to see Nick Markakis and company get to that World Series and actually win it for a change. And Nick Markakis, a long-time player for the Baltimore Orioles, came out of the Orioles farm system, played with the Frederick Keys there for a while. And I think he has yet to win a World Series ring in his career. Again, Nick Markakis, left field. I think he's right fielder, still in right field for Atlanta. Yeah. It would be great to see Markakis get his first ring.
Yeah, it for sure would be nice to see Markakis get a ring. He really had a great career in Baltimore. I was sad to see him go. But for the Braves, he's really had a good career and a good tenure. When he's been with the Braves now for a while. The Braves swept the Marlins in 3 games to advance to the NLCS. The Braves scored 6 runs in the 7th inning. They relied on that rally in the 7th to win Game 1. The Braves pitchers did not allow a run after that in Game 2 or in Game 3. They used 5 pitchers in Game 2 and 4 in Game 3 to completely shut out the Marlins in advance.
Yep. Again, both of these teams, a miracle and strong play to how they got to this point, the National League Championship Series. But again, putting the spotlight back on Markakis, drafted first, actually in round 1, 7th overall, 2003 Major League Baseball draft. The Orioles selected him out of Young Harris College, and he made his debut April the 3rd. But Ryan, actually, he come into the league in 06. I understand it's a shortened year, but his 2020 stats is not. He had 130 at-bats, 15 runs, 33 hits, only 1 home run, 15 ribbies. So maybe not what you expect from him. Again, he is aging. He's 36 years old. But this postseason, he has 4 hits, has yet to get a home run, no ribbies. But again, like you said, a pickup for the Atlanta Braves. And maybe he can heat up just in time to bring a championship back to Atlanta.
Yeah, Markakis has been around for a really long time. And the Braves, I think they can rely on Markakis in that situation where you expect him maybe late in the game when they're down or the game's tied to step up and get a big hit to push the Braves forward and get them on the board. You expect him to come up in those big clutch time situations in the game since he's been around the game for a really long time. And it would be nice to see him finally get that ring if the Braves can get past the Dodgers.
Now that we're focusing on Atlanta, how did you tell me how they got to this point?
Yeah, I did, yep.
And
They completely shut out the Marlins in Game 2 and Game 3. They didn't allow a run in those 2 games.
So they shut out them. I could see you over there. You're saying, Phil, wake up and pay attention. Pay attention more, dude. I need a little bit of coffee. Go grab me some coffee in the kitchen, and I'll keep talking. No, but hey, so we'll focus on the Atlanta roster. Now we're focusing on the Braves. So look, again, pitching, it's coming at an all-time high, if you ask me, for Atlanta. Mark Melancon, of course, he used to play for the Pirates. Ryan, you have A.J. Minter, Darren O'Day. I know you're all too familiar with that name.
Yeah, another former Orioles pitcher coming out of the bullpen.
Former Oriole Darren O'Day, Jacob Webb, Bryce Wilson, Kyle Wright. So, again, they're stacked on the pitching side of the ball. If you ask me, this pitching staff has the premier to shine in the National League Championship Series and really scare Los Angeles.
Yeah, and their hitters are led by Ronald Acuna Jr., the young 22-year-old player.
And if you haven't seen him yet play,
Yeah,
oh my!
he is really fun to watch. Yeah, he's a star on their team and really fun to watch. Brings a lot of energy to that team. And also Freddie Freeman, the all-star Freddie Freeman, age 31, first baseman. Another really, really good player that brings energy to that team and leads that team along with Mark Kakis and Acuna Jr. So I think the Braves have a chance if their pitchers step up and they can beat out the Dodgers pitchers. Of course, the Dodgers do have Clayton Kershaw.
Right.
He's an amazing pitcher. It's going to be tough to get past him, but I wouldn't completely count out the Braves. I do think the Braves do have a chance.
Now, I'll tell you, Ronald Acuna Jr., though, Ryan, he was born in 97, so he's younger than I am. Of course, I don't want to give my age away. I'm still pretty young myself, so hopefully I feel pretty young. But he made his debut in 2018, and he already has 81 career home runs in the league. So that number speaks for itself. And
Yeah.
he's only 22.
Yeah, and almost 200 RBIs, and he's just an amazing player that brings so much energy to the game and a young star for the MLB.
Moving on to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Again, they play the Atlanta Braves in this year's National League Championship Series. Ryan, the Dodgers have been great for so long. They had the dynasty of their own dating back to probably way before our grandparents were even born.
Yeah.
Talk about the Dodgers. That's where, Jackie Robinson broke
Yeah.
the color barrier. Jackie Robinson played for so long, number 42, a legend in and of himself. And I can tell you, he changed the lives for so many. And, again, Jackie Robinson, the all-time great. Love to talk about. We'll have to break down and have a special series, or a special episode, rather, just about Jackie Robinson one of these days, because I look forward to talking. I mean, what an incredible guy he was. But anyhow, moving on to the Dodgers roster, Ryan. Loaded like usual. You have Kenley Jansen. You're all too familiar with these names on the pitching staff. Joe Kelly, the great Clayton Kershaw, Jake McGee, now Julio Urias. But is Kershaw still in? He is playing?
Yeah, he is.
Because for a minute I thought he might have been injured, but I don't know where I was getting that from.
Yeah, and the Padres kind of hit him around a little bit in Game 2. I believe he allowed a good amount of runs in Game 2, but Cody Bellinger was really the star for the Dodgers in Game 2. He made an outstanding play, robbing Tatis Jr. of a go-ahead 2-run home run.
I saw that.
Yeah, and the Dodgers managed to hold on in the 9th inning when the Padres loaded the bases. Pitcher Joe Kelly managed to get the final out, and then the Dodgers finished off the series in Game 3, scoring 12 runs to advance. So both the Braves and the Dodgers swept their opponents to advance.
Well, I understand Clayton Kershaw is one of the best pitchers in the game, but Ryan, if you're facing Manny Machado and Tatis Jr., I think you're going to have trouble.
Yeah, two more young stars of the game, and of course Machado, also another former Oriole. I know we were sad to see him go with the amazing talent that he had.
Yeah. And again, one of the biggest transactions during the offseason, Mookie Betts. Yeah, Mookie Betts going to L.A., and Red Sox fans, I know, are still shaken up by that move. But, again, Mookie Betts doing his thing in L.A. and trying to bring back a ring himself to the Dodgers. Yeah,
and the Dodgers have so many good players. Like we mentioned with Betts.
These players it seems like they've been acquired 10 years ago, because I'm back when you and I used to attend all these Oriole games together. I mean, look at the names that are still on here. Jock Peterson, A.J. Pollock, Chris Taylor, Bellinger, Betts.
Mac Muncy,
Justin Turner,
yep.
Corey Seager. They're all over the place. So, Ryan, I think that's a key to any sport. You hold on to the players, develop them well. My prediction, NLCS, Dodgers in 7.
Yeah, I don't think this series will go 7 games. But I also do have the Dodgers probably in 5 or 6 games. I just think that the Dodgers have too much talent on their roster, and their pitchers will be able to step up.
Well, that's it. Moving on to what happened during the time that we were off. And I have to tell anybody that listens to this podcast, listen up. I know we promised you guys that we would be back yesterday, which was Friday.
Yeah.
This is Saturday. We're sitting in the studio now. This is Saturday. And I promised everybody, if you remember, that we'd be back. Well, Ryan, I texted you the other night, and I said, you know what? Let's hold off another day to see if L.A. and the Lakers, L.A. and LeBron James, rather, can put these NBA Finals away. Well, what happened last night? They didn't. So we was going to actually put together a episode for the WNBA champion Seattle Storm and then the Lakers, but things changed a little. Jimmy Butler
He ruined that.
Jimmy Butler had different plans, ruined the night, ruined my plans. So thank you, Jimmy. But no, we'll go ahead and dive into the WNBA, and then we'll finish up with what happened last night. Jimmy Butler ruining my plans here. But Ryan, I'm going to give my take, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this. The WNBA champion Seattle Storm. Talk about facing adversity, Ryan. For the first time in a long time, we have witnessed something that not every sport sees very frequently, and that was the duo of Breanna Stewart and Sue Bird. Now, when I say that, two legends, and yes, I'm already calling Stewart a legend. Ryan, she played lights out in these 2020 WNBA Finals en route to her second championship in 3 years. But this is what I was discussing with you, why so many people that do not watch the WNBA, it makes me absolutely sick to hear people, especially our younger generation, say how boring the league is. What we witnessed that hasn't happened in years, what I'm talking about, Stewart sidelined with that Achilles injury that took place last year. And she did not play one game, did she? She missed the whole season?
I believe so.
Ryan, she came back even healthier and stronger than before the surgery took place. And I tell you what, sometimes we say it's a blessing to go through a full sports career, pro sports career without any injuries. But at times, if you suffer a terrible injury, it seems like it's just a blessing in disguise at times because she came back like Superwoman.
Yeah, she came back stronger. Yeah.
So, and then to talk about Sue Bird, and then I'll let you speak on your behalf of these WNBA Finals and what happened and what you think. But to talk about Sue Bird, I was watching a documentary on her the other night, matter of fact, and what stood out to me, the adversity she faced as well. And I remember her talking about the relationship between her and the great Lauren Jackson. If you remember Lauren Jackson, again before your time, she was drafted by the Seattle Storm in 2001, and
I believe she has a Finals MVP.
I think so
for the Seattle Storm. Yeah,
and if you watch that documentary, I'll send it to you because you would really like to watch it. I think Sue Bird had mentioned that her and Lauren Jackson relationship when Sue Bird got drafted to the Storm, it wasn't that strong. They didn't really get together too well. I think Jackson was afraid that Sue Bird was going to steal the spotlight on her there for a while, if I remember correctly. But as time went on, they complemented each other, kind of like I talked about Anthony Davis and LeBron James. But Sue Bird and Lauren Jackson complemented each other so well, just as the centerpiece, the MVP of the WNBA Finals this year, and that was Breanna Stewart. But Ryan, just to think, Sue Bird was drafted at 5'9", 5'9" out of UConn. Not the tallest or the fastest, and she admitted that. But she knew how to run the floor. The skill set was just there. And no wonder, huh? She played under Gino at UConn. So if I'm Lauren Jackson, I'm sitting back thinking to myself, holy moly, at this 5'9" point guard entering the league, possibly going to steal the show. But what they found out in the long run, Ryan, is that Sue was a team player, and she's always been that way. She was drafted in 2002. She was not reluctant to tell you how it is. She even stated in her post-game interview, if you remember the other night after winning her 4th title, that she will tell those younger girls if they aren't practicing hard enough. She's not afraid to speak up and tell you. And the passion and love that she has for basketball, her IQ is absolutely spot on. And if you remember, they went through a couple of rough patches back in the early 2000s. Of course, you wouldn't remember. You weren't born yet. But life wasn't all that easy for the Seattle Storm on the court. Seattle had a couple losing seasons, and Sue Bird had to go through that there for a while and finish toward or in the basement. But with a strong draft, the core is now centered around, girls like, of course, the MVP, Breanna Stewart of the finals, Sue Bird, Jordan Canada, Alicia Clark, Natasha Howard, Jewel Lloyd. I mean, Ryan, they're stacked now. And just give credit for Dan Hughes, head coach Dan Hughes, and he stepped in and he took over, and that was that. And the WNBA champions, congratulations. We wanted to shout out to them all the way from Maryland, right here on Listen Up. Congratulations to the 2020 WNBA champion Seattle Storm.
Yeah, well, good job keeping composure during that. And I know the lights went off about halfway during that. That was a good job keeping composure when you were talking there.
I know you had to blur that out there because I knew you was going to possibly bust out laughing. So, yeah, I think that's a sign Austin's telling us we only have about 5 minutes left. That's one of the signs. The lights go off.
Yeah, but congratulations to the Seattle Storm winning their 4th WNBA championship in franchise history, tying them for the most ever with the Houston Comets, who are no longer a team in the WNBA. And the Minnesota Lynx also have 4 titles as a franchise as well. But this was only the 23rd season of the WNBA. And this year, with COVID, the league went through some adversity. It has been tough for all major sports leagues to play through this pandemic that we are in, but since the WNBA is a smaller league with only 12 teams, the WNBA, like I said, has only been around for 23 years. Not really that popular, but I know me and you are really big fans of the WNBA, and we hope to see this league grow and gain more respect in the coming years. The teams only played 22 games instead of the normal 34-game schedule, and this season was tough for the league and its players, and I'm glad that at the end of the season, the league managed to have no positive cases inside the bubble throughout the entire season. So shout out to the WNBA for being able to do such a great job in the bubble.
Kathy Engelbert, the commissioner, yeah.
Yeah, and Sue Bird, in the league for 18 years. She got drafted by Seattle in 2002, like you said, 1st overall, coming out of UConn. She has stayed with Seattle her entire career, brought 4 championships to that city. Sue Bird became the 3rd player in WNBA or NBA history to win titles in 3 different decades. So that's an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, it is. And I tell you, before we head out, I know we're going to review last night's game very quickly. But I wanted to get your take on this. Again, taking nothing away from Seattle because they're great. They're amazing. You know how much love I have for Sue Bird and Breanna Stewart. But Ryan, do you think it would have been any different at all if the defending champions, if Elena Deladon would have been on that court, would the Aces would it have been the Mystics in place of the Las Vegas Aces? Would you have had the Mystics and the Storm playing? And just maybe, because you know how dominant Deladon can be when she's in her zone, could you have seen this season tipping the other way, or maybe a back-to-back championship, or do you still have Seattle coming out on top?
Yeah, it's for sure a possibility that the Mystics could have done it again with their MVP, Elena Deladon. It's still amazing that the Mystics actually were able to make it to the playoffs without Deladon this season, getting the last seed. So it's definitely a possibility. I'm not sure if they would have been able to do it or not, but
yeah. Well, Deladon got paid her full She received her full salary for 2020 for the season. So I was glad to hear that, because remember we talked about that, something about the fact that
she wasn't going to get paid.
Yeah, they wanted her to play, and she wanted to sit out, but they said that she had to play, and I'm glad she got her full salary. That's that. So that comes to a conclusion. We hope to see her back next year. Of course, I texted you earlier, and I said we hope to see the full league back in action, because it's not boring, but it takes away the what could have been, what could have happened when all these star players are sitting out due to the virus. So maybe we'll see the league back at full strength next year. But again, taking nothing away from the Storm, congratulations to the WNBA champions, especially Breanna Stewart and Sue Bird. And we'll see. Ryan, you think Sue Bird will call it quits?
I don't think she's done yet.
Not yet.
She has so
Still
many.
has some gas in the tank.
Yeah, so many accomplishments throughout her career so far, with 4 titles and gold medals.
I had the Olympics too. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, she's a great Olympian, and you have to believe that she loves playing next to Breanna Stewart. It's like a sister relationship now.
Yeah, Breanna Stewart's 2-time Finals MVP now, and MVP of the league, runner-up this season. So she's also an incredible player.
And I tell you, she's on her way to the record books.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
All right, well, that's that. The WNBA, we've covered that. Baseball, the WNBA, and last but not least, I know you've been wanting to debate on this one, because guess what? Ryan is very hyped up here because his Miami Heat are back in the series. And he said, I told you, Phil, do not count a team out until it's over. And that's what happened. LeBron James, he's been in these situations before, Ryan, but his team has actually choked. So now is the question, can he really shut the Heat out?
Yeah, and the Lakers are up 3-1, wearing the Black Mamba jerseys in honor of Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. The Lakers have not lost a game in these jerseys designed by Kobe with the snake pattern on them. They are 4-0 in the postseason wearing these jerseys. And we're all sitting back thinking, watching this game. Like we said, we plan to say that the Lakers are the champions.
I'm sitting back here laughing because you're like, I told you, Phil.
Yeah, and before I predicted this series to go 7 games and the Heat to win.
I was looking at my phone last I was looking at my phone last night for a text message saying, I told you, but I never got anything. So I went straight to bed. I was like, oh, that's it.
Yeah,
Jimmy Butler's still down 3-2. So
yeah, it's still 3-2. I didn't want to trash talk quite yet. I'm gonna wait until to see Sunday night if the Heat can tie this series up. But jumping ahead to the third quarter of this game, Duncan Robinson finally had a breakout game that the Heat were looking for. The third quarter, at the end of the third quarter, he had 20 points on 5 of 10 shooting from 3-point range. He finished the game with 26 points. The Lakers got a lot of second chance opportunities with good offensive rebounds. LeBron continued to knock down big shots to keep the Heat lead to only 6 points at the end of the third quarter. And the Lakers didn't start out the fourth quarter how they wanted to. They turned the ball over 4 times in the first 3 minutes. After the Lakers went on an 18-3 run, the Heat were not done yet. They tightened up on defense. They made some shots to go up by 2 with 3 minutes to play. Jimmy Butler and LeBron James exchanged baskets on 4 straight possessions, absolutely battling it out. That was
that's
so
what I
fun
like.
to watch.
I love to watch that. I mean, that's history in the making right there, because 2 star players, and it's funny because I specifically asked you before we went on last week, Ryan, who do you think's a good picture to put on? Obviously, the star player, LeBron James, a standout player for the Lakers, but I said, Ryan, I haven't watched basketball for a while. Who do you think we should put on that other side of the screen? And you say, Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
So I tell you, Jimmy Butler and LeBron James, they did battle it out, and that's the beauty of it. When you have 2 star players, and nobody, no matter what they could do, but finally, what did Miami do on that last drive? Did you see that defense they played on?
Incredible.
James had no chance, but I saw some players tweeting out earlier this morning. They would have still went ahead and tried to shoot the shot, but James ended up throwing it back outside the perimeter, and then the story.
Danny Green missed a wide open
three, and then they threw the ball out of bounds.
Yeah, so. Morris got the rebound, threw it out of bounds.
What was Morris saying in there? I don't know if
Anthony Davis was down in the paint. And I believe
he must have. I guess he thought somebody was moving over.
Yeah, Anthony Davis kind of came up, and LeBron was to his right.
Okay.
And I guess Morris didn't see LeBron, and
whatever the fact.
Miscommunication threw it out of bounds.
At any rate, we have a Game 6, and I know exactly that's what Ryan wanted to see. Ryan wants to see a Game 7, maybe.
Yeah.
So if anybody, well, including me, I'm talking on my part as well. If anybody thought these NBA Finals were over, think again. Of course, I did have LA originally in 7, and then I went back to sweep. But now maybe I should have stuck with 7 games because Jimmy Butler is putting on the Butler show. Let me tell you. So that's it. Anything else you would like to say, Ryan, before we wrap it up?
I mean, one more thing on Jimmy Butler. Yeah. He played 47 out of the 48 minutes in the entire game. Butler left it all out on the court and gave it all he had.
Yeah,
he had a 35-point triple-double, 12 rebounds, 11 assists. He led the Heat in points, rebounds, and assists. It was just an incredible game to watch.
Incredible. I mean, he was exhausted by the time the game was there. You could see him in one of the last drives. He had to go over to side court and just bend down for a second. I mean, he was exhausted.
Yeah, after he got fouled, he just had to take a minute to bend over and rest for a second.
I tell you. So that's that. Ryan, it's been fun. I'm not going to guarantee it's Friday or Saturday, but we will be back sometime next weekend. And by that time, we definitely should have an NBA champion by then.
Yep.
And so that's that. I know one thing we want to give a shout out to our good friend Merriman. So if he's out there in west of Hollywood, where is he? Hollywood? California, is he out there?
Yeah.
Old Merriman, good old Merriman. So we want to shout out to Merriman and wish him the best. Tell him hello. But that's it. For all of us, photographer Sean Tin, producer Austin Anita, I'm Phil Becerra. And I'm Ryan Renner. Go ahead, Ryan.
And I'm Ryan Renner.
He was taking a drink of coffee. I know he's still trying to wake up. It's about 9 at night, and he's ready to go to bed, huh?
Yeah.
But you're still sipping on coffee, though.
Yeah, long day trying to pull all this together and
you got to make your mind up,
recap
buddy.
those games.
All right, for all of us, Studio 6A, we want to thank you for tuning in, and we will see you for episode 15 next weekend right here on Listen Up, live in Maryland.